Today we're going to be mixing together Arctic Fox in the colors Transylvania with Periwinkle. So first thing you may notice is that my swatches are labeled 1 through 12. Quickly just want to say that that is not synonymous with hair levels. I basically do different video clips and pictures throughout the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. I don't know why I said swatch like that. I said it like that in my last video too. I don't know why. 1 is pink, 2 is a cool tone gray, 3 is a darker natural red, 4 is black. So 4 to 11 is a range that goes to a platinum blonde, and then 12 is like a toned version of number 11. These swatches are not virgin hair, which means they've been chemically treated, colored, or bleached at some point in their lifetimes. So with my mix videos, I like to do at least 2 different ratios for the mixings so we can see the range that we can get with the colors. And I usually try to put the darker mix on the top and the lighter mix at the bottom. So for the first ratio, it's going to sound like a lot because Periwinkle is essentially a pastel and Transylvania is quite pigmented. So I need to use a lot of Periwinkle to offset the Transylvania. So it's going to be a 24:1 ratio. So that'll be 1 part of the Transylvania to 24 parts of Periwinkle. Everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take color differently. Plus different screens and monitors can make colors look different. So please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you.
Let's go. Feet away, she's like a primrose. You're never taking me alive, so come close. And I know why you said it, 'cause I'm reading every word in your voice. Now I'm not who I used to be. And maybe it's a good thing, got a good thing coming, it's a good thing. But we're not who we used to be.
For the second ratio, we're going to do a 36:1. So once again, 1 part of the Transylvania to 36 parts of Periwinkle. Now this is a voted on mix by you guys, so if you ever want to participate in the future, keep an eye out for my community tab, because whenever I'm planning out my next Arctic Fox mix, I will let you guys vote on the options for that month. I'm gonna let these sit for about 2 hours to let the color fully absorb. I will then rinse it out, and once it's dry, I will meet you back here and we can do some comparisons. All right, I would quickly like to remind everyone once again that my swatches are not virgin hair. So virgin hair tends to be less porous, which means it will struggle to absorb and hold on to semi-permanent color. And I actually do see a difference on a majority of the swatches, so I did just want to remind everyone, it doesn't hurt to do a strand test. I definitely could have lightened this up more, but I use so much of my Periwinkle. But honestly, it's not as dark as it kind of looks in this lighting. We'll see in the natural lighting, it's a little bit lighter. You can definitely tell that it's blue. So number one was originally pink. I'm gonna say that that's the most cool tone swatch. The pink undertones mixing with the blue did give it a slightly more purple leaning blue. Not that it's purple, I don't see purple, but it definitely looks more purple in comparison to the rest of the swatches. And also for all of the swatches, basically the bottom kind of just turned out like a slightly lighter version of the top. So Transylvania in and of itself is a pretty blue undertoned black. So I would say a running theme with all of the swatches is that the top kind of just looks like a darker version of the bottom half. I think since the Transylvania has so much blue in it already, they both look basically blue, just the bottom mixture looks lighter essentially. And with that being said, I would say that the bottom mixture is a little bit easier to see the blue just because it's a little bit lighter, but genuinely they both, top and bottom, just look like smoky blues, I would say. So 2 was the gray. Now the undertone of the gray swatch was actually, I would say, more warm undertone than how this color turned out. So this time the gray swatch turned out a little bit warmer in undertone than say like the 11 swatch. Overall, I would say that a gray would probably turn out pretty similar to the 11 swatch, maybe a little bit more smoky and possibly a little bit darker as well. 3 was the natural red. I'm gonna lump 3 in with 5, 6, and 7, even though it is a little bit different. They all kind of have a similar turnout. 3, I would say, looks a little bit more purple versus 5, 6, and 7 look a tiny bit more green. But overall, the mix on top of these swatches darkened them quite a bit. Not to the point where I would say they look black, but it is a lot harder to see the undertones for those swatches, especially in this lighting. Again, the natural lighting will probably be a little bit easier to tell the difference. In this lighting, I would say they definitely look like darker, cooler undertone colors. I don't want to quite say brown, but they're also not super blue either. It's kind of like right in between for those. 4 was already black. I don't see a difference there. Now I did group 3 with 5, 6, and 7, but I will say 7 looks definitely way more blue in comparison to the other 3 swatches. And that's basically the trend. As the swatches get lighter, the more blue you start to see. For some reason, 8 really struggled to take this combo. I'm not sure if it's the undertones or the person's hair, but if your hair is more porous than my swatch apparently is, for you, it could turn out basically like between 7 and 9. So it'd probably be a little bit lighter than 7, but not as light as 9. So depending on the outcome that you're looking for, I wouldn't say you necessarily need to have your hair platinum blonde, but I will say on the 11 and 12 swatches, I do see a lot more of a cool undertone. Even 10 just looks a touch more green in comparison. Now, if you don't have the comparison, it's probably not super noticeable because this is a very cool tone color in general, but I did want to note that. So if you especially have hair that turns very yellow when you bleach it, you might want to consider toning it if you like the more cool tone aspect of this mix. And the biggest difference I'd say between 11 and 12 is that 12 just looks a little bit more muted and smoky, but just a little bit. So I want to jump into the comparisons now. Arctic Fox does have a smokier blue called Blue Jean Baby, so I thought that would be a good first comparison. This is comparable to number 12, 11, 10, and comparable to number 9. The mix is definitely much more cool toned compared to Blue Jean Baby. To me, Blue Jean Baby, now that I see it in this comparison, almost looks like a smoky teal. So it definitely has a bit of a muted quality that my mix has, but it definitely leans much more green. Now toning it does help to take some of that green out if that's not what you like, but even then the dye in and of itself does lean much more warm, and you can see the differences there between the toned swatches. I did see a theory a little while back that Blue Jean Baby is just a diluted version of Transylvania. So I'm pretty sure I did compare those in the Blue Jean Baby video, and that theory was disproven to be true. Now I'm not going to compare the Transylvania here because I don't like to do more than 2 comparisons for the length of time that we have, but I did just want to mention that our mix is actually more cool in undertone compared to the Transylvania diluted, but Transylvania diluted is more cool compared to Blue Jean Baby. So Blue Jean Baby is quite warm for these like smoky colors in the Arctic Fox collection, and Transylvania diluted is sort of in between. I do also want to just say, from my experience of having my channel for a few years now, if you are someone who ever plans to dilute a dye and you plan on buying a diluter, I would highly consider, if I were you anyways, trying to use a pastel color as your diluter instead, sort of like what this mix did today. I had never done that before my channel, but I really like the outcomes that I've gotten so far. It keeps a really nice, smooth, consistent quality to the colors. The only downside I would say is that the undertone can change sometimes. So if you really like the undertone of a color, you just want it lighter, that's a little bit different of a story. But if you don't mind the undertone changing just a little bit, I would recommend trying it, because so far I've really liked doing it that way. Anyways, so the next comparison is going to be Lunar Tides in the color Smoky Navy. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So as far as depth goes, I think the Smoky Navy kind of falls in the same playing field, but once again, Smoky Navy is just a little bit more warm in undertone. Now, it's not as warm as Blue Jean Baby. Again, I would say Blue Jean Baby is like a smoky teal, whereas the Smoky Navy definitely leans more blue, I would say. But this mix that we have today is very cool without being too purple. So if that's something you've been looking for, this might be a good mix for you, because so far it's been pretty unique to my collection. All right, now I'd like to look at the before and after clips. Those, as well as anything past this point in the video, is all going to be done in natural lighting.
Grew up in the same neighborhood, and that's how to rub salt in the wound. Spend a few hours on the reservoir. Never broke a bone, so I'm gonna try hard to prove you wrong. That I'm not who I used to be. I'm not living at 17. Let's go. Feet away, she's like a primrose. You're never taking me alive, so come close. And I know why you said it, 'cause I'm reading every word in your voice. Now I'm not who I used to be. And maybe it's a good thing, got a good thing coming, it's a good thing. That we're not who we used to be. Sometimes I'm a loner. I wish that you lived closer. Maybe then I feel alright. Sometimes I get strung out trying to be myself. When you come close, I feel alive. Maybe that's a good thing.
I hope my video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do brands that do not test on animals. Thank you so very much to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.